We start. Yeah. A very good afternoon to my fellow Toastmasters and guests for present online and in person. I've been with Toastmaster for the past 6 months. In this 6 months, I've come across multiple recommendations and suggestions for how to listen, how to write, and how to speak. But there was one thing which nobody talked about. Can anyone guess who has not been a part of the last meeting? Anybody? Nandagopal? Okay. It's about how to title a speech. Maybe somebody has spoken about it, but I didn't know. So this thing has been tickling my mind for quite some time. So I went on this journey to find myself and share it with you guys. Raise of hands, how many of you picked the title as the last part of your speech preparation? I assume most people, right? Is it the right way? Well, to be frank, I don't know. I'm not an expert. So, but somewhere inside, I feel that a title should be as valuable as the entire speech. So I went on this journey to find myself. You're going to see the whole thing in 3 parts. Why is it important to properly title a speech? How do we normally title our speeches? And what is the right way to title a speech? To answer the first question, why is it important to properly title a speech? We were having a discussion in one of our previous meetings. After the meeting, we were discussing about the speech that was delivered from a Toastmaster. Initially, I was not able to recollect the speaker or the speech, but as soon as Tejasvi mentioned the speech title, I was able to recollect the entire speech. That's when I realized how important a speech title is. Well, second question, how do we normally title our speeches? Most people, I'm saying not all, but most people come up with a word or a phrase that best resembles the content of the speech. If you think about it, it makes sense, right? That's all is required. But to me, it lacks the wow factor. It doesn't trigger the curiosity. So, what is the right way to title a speech then? Which takes us to our third question. To answer this, we are going to see how the professionals do it. When I say professionals, I'm not going to talk about some book authors or some great speakers. We're going to see how the movies are titled. Though they are two different mediums, I believe there are some similarities and we can learn from them. We're going to see how Rajinikanth names his movie titles and what ingenuity goes into it. In the 1970s, Rajinikanth movie titles were like Apurva Ragangal, Padinaru Vaidinile, Aval Appadithaan. As you can see, all these titles had something in common. They spoke about the content of the movie. They brought in some curiosity. When people heard the name Aval Appadithaan, they didn't know how she was. They all went to theaters to see how she was. The same thing happened to Padinaru Vaidinile as well. In the 1980s, the movie titles were like Polladavan, Pokiri Raja, Padikadavan. If you see this, they were a little different from a decade back. They didn't talk much about the content, but they referred to the hero's character of the movie. It was easily referable. When people heard the name Velekaran or Padikadavan, they were able to relate to themselves. It was very relatable. In the 1990s, the movie titles were like Baksha, Annamalai, Padayappa, like this. So if you see, they didn't talk about the content or they didn't bring any curiosity. They were just heroes' name in the movie. I think this is when Rajinikanth became bigger than the movie itself. So the movie maker didn't have to come up with something special to come up with a better name. The same thing continued in 2000 and beyond. In fact, the movie title got much smaller than just one word, like Baba, Kala, Kabali. That's it, nothing else. Initially, I thought there was no thought process which went on while coming up with these titles. But later I felt maybe they wanted to keep something which is very unique and original. So they gave titles like this. It's not just Rajinikanth, even if you see Vijay Ajit would have done the same thing. But I find only one person who was little different. Can anybody guess? One other actor who was little different from conventional naming titles, Kamal Haasan. So we all have to agree that we are not Rajinikanth, and we all have to agree that we are not Rajinikanth, and we can't just pull the crowd by keeping some random names. So a good title should develop curiosity, should talk about the content only, should be referable, should be relatable, should be concise, at the same time should be unique and original. Overall, a title should appeal to the audience. I understand it might be a little too difficult to consider on our daily weekly speeches. We don't have to check all the boxes, but if we keep this in mind and come up with a title, over time this will become a habit and eventually our title will also make us popular. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you. Thank you very much.
Kudos to you, Toastmaster Prasad. So curiosity makes learn more and more, I think. So next of all, the second speaker of this meeting is Toastmaster